Hey guys, welcome to the Learn Feng Shui Podcast, where you'll learn Feng Shui from a classical point of view, taking out the myth and superstition. So if you're interested in learning Feng Shui, Chinese astrology, all things Chinese metaphysics, as well as the superstitions and myths that connect it all, you'll enjoy learning Feng Shui with me. Hey guys, welcome to the Learn Feng Shui Podcast, where ancient traditions meet modern living. I'm Candace Berlanga, certified Feng Shui practitioner and Red Ribbon professional with the International Feng Shui Guild. We're going to have a Valentine's episode today. We're going to look at love in unexpected ways. First, we're going to break down those zodiac signs that are going to be lucky in love this year and which may face challenges. Then we're going to look at the cycle of love through the lens of Chinese metaphysics. And one thing I think that doesn't get talked about very often is feng shui for separation. How do you clear emotional energy after a breakup or a divorce? Look at moving forward and implementing feng shui for that. For Folklore Friday, a little segment here on love tokens and gifts in Chinese culture. Let's get into this loved themed episode with a twist. Well, starting with this overview of the zodiac signs that are going to be lucky in love. Some of them have some good and bad energies, and some of them have a little bit of challenges. If I don't mention your zodiac sign, it's because you don't have a lot of notable relationship things this year, at least not with these Shinsha stars. And this is what I'm basing this on. If you want a complete zodiac forecast, I actually put a copy up of all the zodiac signs on the website at learnfengshui.com. On the blog post, I'll put a link below. And I did a Facebook Live. You can go check that out on the Facebook page at Learn Feng Shui. And I'm going to have that up on YouTube. My goal is to have it up by the time this episode goes out. So you can check out your complete zodiac forecast. And I'll just link that below. But looking at the three zodiac signs that are the luckiest in love for the year is the rat, the dragon, and the horse. The zodiac sign of rat has what is called the salty pool. This is going to be great if you are single and you're dating. So this has the indication of shorter term hookups. So you might meet a lot more people this year, but it might not really equate to a long-term relationship. More of a short-term hookup or a situationship type energy. If you are in a committed relationship, you are going to want to direct this energy towards your partner so you can rekindle some passion. And it really does carry the connotation of passion, I'll just say, of passion. And so that's for the rat. You could be not so much lucky in love, I suppose, but lucky in the romance department, if that makes sense. The dragon has what is called the sky happiness, and this indicates family closeness, not necessarily romantic relationships, although it could be maybe a future wedding you're planning. If you have the sign of dragon, then look forward to family events this year, happy events, baby showers, family reunions, just getting together and spending more time with your loved ones is the connotation of sky happiness. Usually celebrating a happy event like the birth of a baby or something like that. So you can look forward to that this year. Not necessarily a romantic partnership, but for the dragon, your family and friendships will do really well because you'll be celebrating a little bit more this year. So just indicates that family closeness and happy events. The horse is another zodiac sign that will be lucky in love this year with the energy called peach blossom. This, again, it kind of carries a connotation of if you're in a committed relationship that the person may cheat or something. That's like the old school way of looking at it, just like with salty pool for the rat. But in reality, what's called the peach blossom is really just good for likability. So if you are single, it's good for dating, but it can also actually be used for just making friends, for rekindling your relationship, not necessarily equating to a romantic relationship, but maybe being seen as more attractive. Maybe you get a makeover and you put yourself out there a little bit more. So it carries that kind of energy. Likability can translate also to friendships. If you're translating that to your career, you can also use this energy to foster some relationships or foster those business relationships also. It's kind of carries the connotation of just having friends and being likable. And if you do have any relationships for the horse, the sun star is supposed to help resolve these issues this year. So that can shed light and have you clear things up with your partner or in your family relationships, the Sun Star can help resolve issues. Now, it helps resolve issues by getting everything out on the table. So I'll just say if there's anything that you have been avoiding talking about, sometimes we don't necessarily want to face that we've hurt somebody, but this Sun Star will bring this out in the open. But sometimes it's better to just lay it all out there and resolve it by just talking about it. Okay. So that's for the horse this year. The two zodiac signs that have kind of mixed energy this year are going to be the snake and the dog. So the snake, of course, has the Grand Duke or the Tai Sui for the year, sometimes making you more visible. And with that, it just carries the energy of being seen more. So if you're doing something you don't want seen, you maybe could be more visible in that, and that can impact your relationship in a negative way. But also the connotation of the star called the hidden corpse. It's kind of like the skeleton in the closet, if that makes sense. And so maybe something you have not been wanting to talk about or something to come to light that you've done that can impact your relationship. So just be aware that could be there. And with the Grand Duke energy shedding light on things and making things visible and seen or more in the spotlight, maybe a lot of people might see that, just navigate that. We all make mistakes. Just navigate that as it comes, I suppose. If you have the snake, I have the snake. So we'll see what hidden energy comes out for me, I guess, right? Let's see if I have any secrets to be revealed. I don't know. The snake also, though, the good energy it has is the golden carriage. And this is a really good energy for relationships. It represents taking relationships to the next level of commitment. So if you are just dating somebody, maybe you'll make it more serious. If you are in a committed relationship, maybe you'll take the next step and move in together, or you'll, have a baby together, or you'll get married. It'll just be like that next step to a relationship, which the snake has. So just again, being honest and laying everything out there, kind of like with that sun star, just with the snake too, that'll help kind of take away some of the energy of secrets being revealed. Just lay it out there and don't try to hide anything. That'll have a positive impact in your relationships. The next zodiac sign that has some mixed energies for the year are going to be the dog, has the red matchmaker. It represents a commitment level, kind of like the snake, but it represents more of like, not necessarily taking things to the next level, but maybe you are not in a relationship and you meet somebody and you just really connect. You find a serious relationship this year. That's what that means. Or maybe the possibility of marriage. That is there if you have the dog. But there is an energy called the death charm. So this may signify some endings, and not necessarily to your relationships, but usually when the symbol of death is seen within some of these stars or has the name of death, that really just means some sort of ending, not necessarily to relationships, but maybe you'll find some closure in some things this year. Also, not necessarily a bad energy. I don't really like to label things as good and bad, because a lot of the times the choices and actions we make, that's going to determine whether that's good or bad. Because obviously, if you're making bad choices, then things will come back in a bad way to you. All right. If you navigate these energies, you take accountability, and you're all in all a good person, you're a good partner to your partner and all that, then you're going to get some good energy back. The zodiac signs that have challenging energy for relationships this year, the goat for the year has both the yin sha and the leopard tail, which can represent offending somebody. And then the yin sha carries the energy, since it's a yin energy, a female or feminine energy. And that indicates maybe you had a breakup, maybe you said something wrong. This could represent offending your female partner. So try to be careful with things you say this year. The leopard tail just indicates being offensive, saying the wrong thing and offending the wrong person. And then the yin energy, the yin sha, indicates that could be a female. So again, if you're in a relationship with a female, that could be your partner. So just be aware of that, and really just be careful with what you say. Be kind to your partner this year. The monkey has what is called the hook star, and this is a star of overpromising. So you may overcommit or overpromise to somebody and realize that maybe you can't do it. So really just being honest with the person, if you have the monkey, and not overpromising your level of commitment, it can avoid some issues. Really, again, it's just a thing of being honest. And then the rooster has what is called the broken star. And so this symbolizes endings in relationships. Okay, so now I'm worried because I have the snake and I have the rooster, and they both represent something going wrong there. Maybe I'll have some relationships end. It kind of depends on where it falls in your natal chart. If you have any questions about this, you can again refer to the video I'm going to link below, or you can message me directly and be like, hey, what does this mean for me? And we can have a chat about it. Let's take a look at love through the lens of Chinese metaphysics now. One of the things is most asked when doing a feng shui consult is how do you find a relationship? How do you use feng shui for romance? And there's a bunch of different ways to do it, honestly. One of the things, though, I'm not going to get into too many details because there's 1,000 tips out there you could use. But what I want to do is have you consider what phase of a relationship you're in first. When you look at the phase of relationship you're in, this will help you discover and identify what feng shui cures, what feng shui activations can be best for you. I have this little love and romance guide, and I've broken it down into 5 different phases because if you think about it, you're either looking, right? You're single, you're looking for dating and things like that. But you're not necessarily in the dating realm. You don't have a lot of choices to necessarily get through. And so that's going to be very different when you look at somebody who's dating and maybe you're going on different dates and you're choosing from different possible matches. And then the next stage will be the exclusive stage. You're dating one person, you don't want to date anyone else, you think you found the person that you want to be with and form a long-term partnership with. And then the next step would be commitment and being ready to have a long-term commitment to that person and know you're going to be with them. Then the last stage would be just be making it work. You're in a long-term serious relationship, but you are committed to that relationship. You're not going nowhere. You're living together, you have the kids together or whatever. You're there and you're making it work. Those are the 5 stages. Just thinking about the lens of Chinese metaphysics, I watched a feng shui consultant. His name's Kevin Chan. Highly, highly recommend his videos. They're very educational if you practice classical feng shui. He did a video a long time ago, love through the 5 elements, and kind of going back to those phases. When you first meet somebody, you have the energy of the water, this water energy. And the water energy really is about discovery and that connection, right? Water, it merges together. It doesn't separate really unless you physically separate it. It very much is this kind of discovery or this merging of energy. When you make that connection, you get to know somebody, then the next energy would be a wood energy. So wood energy is all about like learning. You learn more about the person. And once you learn more about the person, then you really have a connection with them. You have a friendship with them. And that's wood energy that is making that connection. Wood energy also represents like that learning and that discovery of somebody else and the knowledge of somebody else. And so that would be like the dating, you're dating that person. And then next would come like the passion. That's represented by the fire element, which is pretty self-explanatory that you want to be passionate with the person. You want to express yourself in a physical way with the person. And so you have those energies. Next would come the energy of earth. And so earth is a very grounded, very nurturing energy, and that represents that level of commitment. And so we have that earth energy. And then after we have that earth energy, we have the energy of metal in the cycle. And that metal energy represents that making a decision, saying I do, taking the wedding. It's the action step of cementing that relationship. And then of course, when you're in a committed relationship, you still have to work on things, and those relationships still need to be fostered, But just kind of thinking about it from that perspective. One thing I've noticed also, if you look at a natal chart, you'll notice that, of course, you have your zodiac signs, but you also have what is called your elements. And their elements, we all have the energy of this water, the wood, the fire, earth, and metal. We have all that energy inside of us in some capacity. And I've noticed that when I do chart readings, if somebody's energy is very dominant or if it's completely missing, that is what is missing from their relationship. And I know one that stands out to me the most is I did a reading for this young lady, and she was very heavy on earth. She said that why can I like keep a relationship? They all seem to ghost me. The wood energy was low, so you're not taking the time to get to know the person. You're not fostering that connection. You're jumping straight to the fire and to the earth. You're jumping straight to the passion and the commitment without any of the knowledge and learning. So that she was wanting that commitment. And that really stood out to me the most. So you can actually see this in your natal chart just when you do a reading and you look at it in terms of relationships. Yeah, there's just a lot of different things to consider within Chinese metaphysics. This isn't really a feng shui tip segment, but I just thought it was interesting to kind of share with you guys the perspective on relationships through this lens of Chinese metaphysics. I'll go ahead and stick that guide back up on the website and it'll be available to read. And I'll just link that below in the show notes. There is definitely things you can do for your relationship. Looking at our next topic here, feng shui for separation. I'll put a link to this article. The one thing I really wanted to let you guys know is that the Feng Shui Guild did a whole newsletter on feng shui for relationships. I'll put a link also that you can definitely follow those tips from the newsletter. But this brings me to my next point here, feng shui for divorce and separation. So this caught my eye on the Feng Shui Guild's newsletter here. Very interesting article because when we think of Valentine's Day, like it's my wedding anniversary, me and my husband have been married for 20 years, and we're cemented in. We're not going nowhere, But some people, that obviously doesn't happen for many people. Half of marriages don't end up working, It just happens as part of life. It just is. And so looking at how you can support yourself through that separation is very important because of course you want to mentally and emotionally support yourself and your children. And so Feng Shui Jones Way had a great article here. And it says here, when you transition from marriage through divorce, there's a lot of stress, upheaval, and negative energy in your life and in your space. And Feng Shui can support you through divorce in multiple ways and at different times in your transition. Feng Shui during your divorce, while you're going through a painful process of splitting up, and arguing, and dividing the households, there's not much to do but put your head down and get through it. And trying to feng shui your way through pain isn't going to happen. She does say here, one exception, of course, has to do with your children. It says here that many parents who divorce inevitably move to a smaller or a different home, and kids experience the upheaval of a relationship intimately. They also worry that their physical home life will change. And we can definitely relate, right? Kids may become inflexible or act out, and so plan to give them time to adjust to the idea of change on the home front. If there's a change and you'll be moving in the future, give the kids a lead ahead of time to get them used to the idea with a positive view of the move. Get the kids adjusted to small changes by doing things like moving furniture. Your kids will be more adjusted to a big move if you start with a smaller change, and it kind of begins to build resilience and adaptability. I would say even, going through toys and things like that. And if you're having a downsize, that's one thing I would say too, especially with children, to really honor their items and not get rid of things that they don't want to get rid of, even if you're a little bit cluttered at first, I think. So feng shui soon after the divorce. It says here, after the divorce is final, you may want to immediately shake a few things up at home. And let's start with a checklist of some low-level changes that can reshape the way you feel at home without doing too much emotional work. So it says, get on with the angry clean out. Friends and family are more than happy to support you after a divorce with a so-called angry clean out. Order pizza and buy beer and get it done. Down the road, you'll be better prepared to address more intensive clutter clearing. Buy new bedding is one of her suggestions to replace the sheets, pillows, and bedclothes, and even the mattress to ensure you clear the energy where you sleep. And I think there's definitely something to that. And one thing I would add is don't take your old mattress to your new home, especially if you had a separation or a divorce. Another one, take down artwork you chose together. I'm sure you're going to be getting rid of pictures, but one thing she says here is anytime you interact with the artwork and images that remind you of previous happiness and relationship, it can trigger stagnancy in your current progress. So take those down and sell or donate artwork that you collected together and replace it with images that reflect a new life vision. Fix all the deferred honey-dos. I told him a million times about the broken handrail. Now it's time to treat yourself to the service of a pro handyman who won't hesitate to repair that handrail and more. So make yourself a list, get a referral, and make a call. After the divorce has settled, my divorce clients usually call me for a complete feng shui consultation several years after their divorce has ended. It's then that they have more emotional and mental space in their life for fresh change. And I like to start with the love gua area. And so this is looking at Western style of feng shui or BTB style of feng shui. And she says here, understanding your love and marriage area. And she says here, even if you aren't married or in a relationship, that doesn't mean that love and marriage area of the bagua can be ignored. And in some traditions, this is like the southwest sector of the home in some styles of feng shui. So, whichever works for you here. Every divorced person will be ready for love at a different time, but we can help enhance the other parts of the love gua by including supporting self esteem, receptivity, and openness to life. This includes representations of pairs of items in the area and removing lonely or images of single objects. If you prefer to stay single, no problem. We can enhance the area with representations that support your ideal life, feelings, and desires. I really like that because not everyone wants to get remarried after a divorce. Finding the right helpful people. You'll notice the bottom right area of the boggle represents helpful people in your life. And if you practice the style of feng shui that uses northwest sector, you could look there. The area is crucial for healthy divorce transition. I think this is sometimes called like the travel sector. The helpful people aren't just friends, but the complete list of people who fulfill your needs now that you are physically and mentally on your own. That list includes everyone from the right therapist and handy folks like a trustworthy plumber and cleaner who will step in to complete the tasks that your spouse did for you. Here it has a little section about joining homes and other post divorce considerations. It says here, remember those sweet kids we mentioned earlier? Well, divorce doesn't end for them once the papers are signed. With new joined home, things get even more complex. Allow a child to keep a happy photo of herself with their missing parent by their bed. And kids still have a connection and a relationship with your ex, obviously, right? This may be tough on the new step parent or even you, but it isn't about you. And I think that's important to remember too. It's about making your child's space feel safe. Kids can use a picture to keep them feeling supported when dad or mom isn't there. So moving on, you have yourself moved on and you have a new partner. So that new partner is now moving into your space and says be prepared to not only make space for their dresses in the closet, but make room for them everywhere at home. One spouse tends to have a strong idea or feel for decor, and that can be a problem when that feel doesn't match the other person's energy needs. If a new home isn't possible, the person whose home it is needs to be willing to make changes. This includes allowing decor to change, furniture to be moved, and more for the sake of the new relationship. So make room for your partner's fishing rods. One thing that stands out to me is I remember when my son was little and was in Boy Scouts, the scout leader was talking about the fact that he was having some relationship issues. And it stemmed from the fact that he did not want to buy a new house for his new wife. It was the house that him and his ex-wife lived in. So, yeah, just I could see that causing some issues, especially just having that memory there, or even feeling like you're just filling a space or something. She does note here that divorce, like any transition, is exhausting and life-changing. Using practical feng shui for clearing and readdressing space physically helps to address mental drain and pave a smoother path beyond divorce to your next chapter. So just remember to give it some time, guys. One of the things that stands out to me that she said is that sometimes she has divorce clients that come years after divorce and they're ready finally. So you take it at your own pace and you decide when to move on, things like that. Don't let anybody else tell you that you're doing something or you should be over things. Just a little note there. All right, let's go to our Folklore Friday segment. We're going to talk about love tokens in Chinese tradition and taboo love gifts in Chinese culture. From ChineseFetching.com, love and Chinese culture, meaningful love tokens other than words. Love is a permanent topic. It lasts as long as human history and needs constant expression. To say love in Chinese culture, love tokens are widely used to confirm relationships or show someone's affection besides words and symbols. In history, when parents arranged marriages and young couples couldn't date freely, love tokens were widely used to confirm a relationship. When men were set off to the battlefields, they would exchange tokens with their loved one to leave each other something to remember. And love tokens in Chinese culture should have a very special connection with the person who gives them. Usually it's something an heirloom or exquisitely made articles. Once love tokens are exchanged, they pledge their loyalty and eternal love. Hair is the first one. Importance of hair in Chinese culture. In ancient Chinese culture, hair was considered an essential body part given by parents and couldn't be cut casually. When people get married, tying a strand of the new couple's hair together is a meaningful ceremony, meaning they would be connected forever. In the past, when a man was allowed to have any woman, only the most honorable wife was qualified to have this bind up of hair right with her husband at their wedding. Other inferior concubines were not allowed to have this right. Rude. And therefore, cutting off a wisp of their hair and handing it out was a serious means to convey somebody's love and commitment. If a girl gives a boy a strand of her hair, this means she's deeply in love with him, even though she's never said it out loud. Indeed, the wisp of hair should be well decorated using a red ribbon or in a handmade pouch. A comb was another traditional love token. So, considering the hair's importance in Chinese culture, the comb is a necessary personal effect and romantic love token. Every day, using a comb that the beloved one gives is quite sweet and lovely. Women started to put combs in their hair as decorations, which included more valuable materials and adornments in the combs. On the traditional Chinese wedding day, combing the bride's hair is an important rite, symbolizing everything is smooth and lucky, and the new couple stays together happily until their hair turns gray. Staying on the theme of hair, the hairpin says here the most ancient historical token was using a hairpin to represent being an adult in the history of China. When a woman turned 15, there would be a coming of age ceremony to put on a hairpin, tie their hair up, and claim them as an adult who were ready to get married. This hairpin was an essential daily necessity. Therefore, giving someone's beloved woman a beautiful hairpin was an excellent way to convey his affection. There's something called the double stringed hairpin. So it's called a chai. Chai was evolved from the regular hairpin and was used to fasten and tie hair. But the most important difference was that the chai had two sticks that looked like two pins connected. And when a couple had to separate for a while, the woman usually split her favorite chai in two parts, each taking one as a keepsake. And then they would put the two parts back together when the couple reunites. I think that's so pretty. Thousands of years ago, ancient Chinese would hang two little pendants on their hat or hair ornaments like the hairpin to use them as earplugs when they needed to rest. The earplugs were regarded as a representation of self-discipline and introspection, a highly required characteristic in Chinese culture, and for being an excellent way to avoid hearing or believing anything before careful consideration. It's probably smart nowadays. Gradually, these two pendants were turned into earrings and a decoration more explicitly by women. Patterns of earrings had changed with the time in the history of China. However, self-discipline and trust are essential qualities in a good relationship, which made earrings a meaningful love token for thousands of years. Endless and eternal love, the ring. So a circular ring has no starting or end point, representing endless and eternal love. The ring is a historical love token that is essential to a couple's engagement gift in tradition, and unmarried women did not wear rings in ancient history. Around 1,000 years ago, a ring became a gift only sent from a man to a woman. And superstitious origins to romantic token, the bracelet. So the bracelet was initially used in sacrifice or sorcery in the history of China and later used as a bond to keep a woman around. Gradually, it became a love token to show a couple's wish to be together permanently. Over 2,200 years ago, the sachet was an important personal effect. Ancient Chinese people had to wear them when they were visiting elders or participating in important ceremonies. Sachets can be made of jade, gold, silver, or fabric with fancy embroidery with scented flowers, spices, or medical herbs stuffed inside. Sachets with spices could make somebody smell good, while medical herbs inside were believed to keep people healthy. Therefore, it soon became a representation of fortune and blessing. Dexterous women made sophisticated scented satchels for their beloved ones to wear daily to show their love and respect. And the ancient satchel, the he bao, is a pouch that can hang from a wrist or be worn from the shoulders, in which people put smaller, important things like a handkerchief, coins, or seals. It was initially made from furs and then developed into fancy fabrics with exquisite embroideries. However, the colors and image of the embroidery of the Hebao needed to follow the hierarchy strictly in ancient times. For quite a few centuries in the history of China, officials wore a Hebao when they met emperors for work and put important things in it, like a seal. Therefore, wanting an exquisite and well designed Hebao made by beloved ones were believed to be prideful and warm in Chinese culture. I guess the spouse would make this pouch for their partner. Chinese god of marriage and his red line. So in Chinese culture, the god of marriage is a in Chinese culture, the god of marriage is a kind older man who lives under the moon in a tree in a let me- okay. In Chinese culture, the god of marriage is a kind older man who lives under the moon in a tree or in a mysterious love palace, which sounds kind of kinky. He uses an invisible red string to connect a man and a woman on their ankles. Okay. Afterward, this couple would fall in love and end up in a happy marriage, no matter the situation of their ages, class origins, or distances. Twined love by red lines here. It says the true love knot is twined with two red strings, representing eternal, inseparable love, blessed by the Chinese god of marriage. In ancient China, on the new couple's wedding day, each family would provide a red silk ribbon and tie them into a true love knot. The bride and groom would hold each other side on the knot to finish all of the rites of their wedding ceremony. And in addition, people would use the true love knot technique to tie the new couple's hair together after the groom and bride cut their hair on the wedding day. Today, a knot is still widely used in bracelets, earrings, and decorative pendants in China. The reward of true love. It is said that if a couple is genuinely in love, they could be rewarded a love lock by the god of marriage. It was said that after they carved their names on this lock and locked it in a place full of nimbus, like a magnificent mountain, their love would be blessed forever. I just looked that up. I don't know what that is. Didn't do a lot of reading of this article before. I just found the article. Let's see here. Blessed Honorable Love Token, a jade pendant. Throughout the history of China, jade was not only used for decoration, it also represented noble morals, etiquette, gentleness, benevolence, righteousness, courtesy, wisdom, integrity, and loyalty. Around 3,000 years ago, jade was widely worn by the noble class, and a decent gentleman should always wear jade unless something severe or sad has happened. A jade pendant is usually worn on the waist or outside the clothes, and some believe that it was initially used to hold people's bottom dresses. At the time, jade was a representation of somebody's social status and good morals, and gradually both men and women would use them as decorations. And later, the jade pendant was decimated to civilians, but follow strict ranks for different social statuses. Jade's believed to bring people good luck and protect its owner. And in Chinese culture, it's said that jade will be inspirited and can protect the owners if humans have worn it for years. Maybe I need to put my jade ring back on. If a jade accessory, which its owner has worn for years, suddenly has a crack or a break, then it has already resisted a horrible encounter for its owner, which I've heard that too. If your feng shui cure breaks, or if you have like little pendants or necklaces or bracelets, like with the protection, the evil eye, if it breaks, then it has protected you from something. I'm saying all this because a man could give a precious jade pendant to his beloved woman to show her importance to him. And the girl would usually weave a colorful fringe and attach it to the bottom of her sweetheart's jade pendant, using the same type of fringe that a bride would wear on her wrist on a wedding day. Nowadays, jade jewelry is prevalent in Chinese culture through other forms like bracelets, rings, or necklaces, and they've replaced jade pendants. Building a long life love. In the history of China, the woman's skirt was usually connected by several pieces of fabric. Therefore, sending a beloved one the skirt implies the will to build a romantic relationship that is a lifelong connection. A handkerchief was also used, so handkerchiefs were a very personal necessity in Chinese culture, which people used to wipe tears, sweat, especially women, and were used as decorations. Women would make the handkerchiefs themselves using a fancy fabric, and it was said that if a girl gives a boy her handkerchief, she likes him and will fall in love with him. Szechuan pepper. The odor of Szechuan pepper was once believed to exorcise evil spirits. Hence, the history in China, royals used to mix it inside the coating to paint the queen's walls. And besides Szechuan pepper, uh, okay. So, but besides that, Szechuan pepper also contain many seeds that have the same pronunciation as kid in China. So, therefore, the Chinese culture, sending a bunch of Szechuan peppers was an implicit way to express the wish for somebody to have many children. It does say, however, it's no longer used nowadays. Maybe because the capsaicin made their eyes burn or something. I don't know. In the history of China, it was expected that a couple needed to be separated for a while and sometimes decades. Which, hey, I mean, you know. But therefore, they would cut something in two pieces and each take half. So the hairpin pins, the hairpins, the jade pendants, the bracelets, jewelry boxes, anything special that I've listed here, it says would do. So for those who would have to leave a place for a long time or even permanently, the half of the item is essentially a token and a witness of a relationship and kindred in Chinese culture. And last but not least, it says a love pea. The feeling will never fade away. The love pea originated from a sad love legend in the history of China. Thousands of years ago, a woman's husband was recruited to join the army and protect his country. Years later, the guys from her village came back without her husband. She couldn't believe that her husband wouldn't return, so she leaned on a big tree on a nearby mountain, faced the roadway her husband left, and cried until the tears dropped into the tree. Decades later, her tears turned red, and so did the beans produced by the tree that she leaned on every day crying. These red beans are heart-shaped, bright and firm, glittering and translucent, and will never fade or decompose. Gradually, these red beans officially named the love pea, which became representative of great love in Chinese culture, and many accessories were made from these magical beans. For a long time, the traditional Chinese wedding, the bride would wear a love pea bracelet or necklace on her wedding day, wishing for a happy marriage filled with love and fortune. All right, guys. Well, I had fun covering these zodiac signs and their luck love for 2025. I'll link everything I talked about in the show notes, so that'll be linked below too. Again, my goal is to have that up on YouTube. Feng Shui for Separation, moving on. Again, links to the International Feng Shui Guild newsletter and that article in particular will be there. And then, of course, the folklore behind love tokens. I really enjoyed the folklore segments. That one was a really long one. I didn't expect it to be so long until I started reading the article. I was like, dang, this is a lengthy guy here. So if you are on TikTok, follow me on TikTok. I wasn't putting a lot of work into those TikTok account because I didn't know if it was going to be banned or what was going on here. And it looks like it's here to stay at least for now. So I'll start working on some videos for that. And I realized I can go live, so I'll probably start getting some content together for that, which brings me to my next point. I'm not sure that I'll have a new episode the next 2 weeks. I don't know what that's going to look like, but the next 2 weeks, I will not be putting out a new episode, and I'll be back for the beginning of March for that energy update for March and working on that newsletter. I'm trying to get ahead a little bit and work on just some content and fix a few things on the website. There's some things that are out of date a little bit. So, just the typical things you got to do for business. So I'm trying to get ahead and do some of that stuff. But yeah, anyway, message me. I'll still be working. If you need energy mapping, I work on those all the time. I'm a week to a week and a half out. When you message me, give me just a little bit of time to get to it. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys beginning of March for the March energy update.
For a free energy mapping of your floor plan, please check the link in the show notes. To support today's podcast, go to learnfengshui.com, sign up for emails, leave a review, and share with your family and friends.